All right, in this video, we are going to talk about how to edit your personal information in your business profile in high level. So one of the first things that we're going to want to do anytime we have an account, and even if you set up your account a while ago, to double check we've got this information set up correctly. It's going to be a really nice value add to you to have this information be accurate for seamless integration into your emails, your funnels, your links, your calendars. Everything really kind of spins off from this basic information. So we really want to make sure we get this done right. Now, of course, we can see here when we are in our high level account, and today we're in M Suite CRM powered by Mickey Growth, and this is our demo account. So on the left hand side, you typically launch into either your Launchpad or your dashboard. From there, you're going to want to go down the left-hand navigation tree, the main trunk of that tree, all the way down to settings with the gear icon on the very bottom left. The very first setting that's going to load, business profile settings. So this is going to be our destination here for this segment. Now, here there's a few things we're going to be able to update. We've got some general information, name, domains, things of that nature. On the right-hand side, we've got our physical address. So obviously, if you have a physical location, you're going to want to enter that in here. And if you do not have a physical location, then you may actually want to remove some of this information. Here I filled it in with some test info. Time zone, that's going to be extremely critical. That's also under the physical address. And then as we continue on down the page, we've got some business information. This is similar to like a NAICS or a SIC, where we're looking up to help tell the system more about our particular business. This will tie in a little more to some of the other features, but it is input here. On the right-hand side, authorized representative, this essentially tells either high level or the agency that you've gone ahead and conducted your business with to secure access, who the authorized representative is for the account, for this business itself. So if you are the owner, then you'd likely put yourself here. If you're the owner, but you've got somebody who runs your operations or runs your tech for you, then you may put that authorized representative as your employee or business partner. Going on down, there were some other settings that were here, but they've moved those out. So we'll talk about that in just a bit here. Coming all the way back up to the top, we're going to go ahead and look at our general information. So one of the first things we likely want to do is go ahead and upload a logo. So we'll go ahead and we will get a logo uploaded here. We'll go ahead and pull something nice. Let's see here. So off screen, I don't believe you can see it, it's going to be a dialog box to go ahead and upload that. This one's really not formatted in the correct size. It's a 1x1. We want something that's horizontal, so do keep that in mind as you go ahead here. But we'll use that for this demonstration. Your friendly business name. So I've got this one labeled out as M Suite YouTube account. It's our demo account that I use for these videos. So I like to keep that straight. Obviously here you would put whatever name you want to operate under. So for example, if your legal business name is Mario's Pizza Incorporated #1, then you'd go ahead and put that there, but you may just put Mario's dash and then maybe the street corners. That way you can keep straight which of your businesses this is for. Now the next component then would be your business email. So let's go ahead and drop in some information here so that we know how people can get a hold of us. We of course want to put our business phone number. Now what's key here is this business email, business phone. Use publicly facing addresses. What I mean by that is this business email and business phone automatically will pull into certain components of emails, messaging, compliance footers. So we want to make sure that the info we put in this section is what we want people to see. So if you've got a personal cell phone, that's not the one you want to put here. If you have a main business line, that is what you'd want to enter into this section. So a little bit of a pro tip there. Branded domain. So this is where you're going to go ahead and put in information like a domain. So we understand, right, what is our domain? How are things going to be pointing to? This is going to be something that later we'll talk about linking up, but this will help us to affect that change. The business website then, So here we do likely want to put the HTTPS, and that's just going to help it be a really nice, clean address. So we make sure when we link to it, it works absolutely perfectly. And then business niche, this is a drop down. So in here, we can have all sorts of options. There are hundreds of potential options. Everything from a dive club to a hardware store to a men's tailor to a public webcam, a quarry. Maybe you are a quarry you're going for, or some other mineral, upholstery shops, and even a zoo or a Szechuan restaurant. So we can get really specific. Here I've gone ahead and selected business management consultant. So once we've entered in this information, we're happy with it. We want to make sure we absolutely hit the blue update information button on the bottom right of that section. That's going to save this section's information. You'll notice then that each of these following sections tends to have an update or an update information button. So we want to make sure anytime we make a change, we do hit that save. Otherwise, you'll be frustrated when we've got to redo our changes. Now, business physical address, obviously here, if you have an address, you can go ahead and put that in. If you don't have a physical address, what I typically recommend doing is still put a city, a zip code, and a state. That's going to be helpful to you. Now, it says to match it to your EIN. If you have a business entity identification number, which is what EIN stands for, that's your tax ID for the business with the IRS. You may want to match it to that. You may also want to use an address that, again, publicly facing. This information, the system will automatically pull from. So if you've got an address that's different, I would actually suggest maybe steering clear of this instruction here and put the address you want people to visit you at or look you up from. Now, time zone, extremely important that we set this correctly. We need this to be right because this is going to start setting our master time zone for all of our calendars, all of our appointments, all of our reminders, and as well as scheduled sends. So when we say to send an email at 4 p.m. or 11 a.m., the system's going to look to here and send it based on this master time zone. So if you want an email to be sent at the correct time in your time zone, we need to have this set up correctly. Platform language, if you're working off of different languages, this can be helpful. I've got it set to English United States. And then outbound communication value for custom values, here you can select English or Spanish. This is an advanced option if we're using specific custom values where we do want to use bilingual communication. We can go ahead and do that. Now, because I've got English selected for the platform language, I see English and Spanish United States as my options here. So I'll go ahead and hit English just so there's no confusion for the system. I only want to operate using the English language for this particular CRM. Now, back down and to the left into the business information. So we've got a business type. In here, we'll go ahead and select it's a limited liability company, an LLC. For business industry, we're going to go ahead and we'll do education here since we said we were a business management consultant. Registration ID type, so here we'll do USA employer identification number. If you've got different ones, they are sometimes listed, or you can select other if you don't see yours particularly stated out. But we'll do US EIN. The number then. So we're going to want to go ahead and enter in that information. Now note there is a checkbox. My business is not registered. If you don't have an EIN, for example, you're the sole proprietorship part of the LLC, then we can actually go ahead and hit my business is not registered. What we'd want to do is leave that blank, select it. You'll see it will gray this information out. So we'll select that option here for this example. And then business regions of operations. This is going to help with some of the compliance, particularly for phone numbers, to know where we're operating. We'll have this be just a US company for this example. Again, update information. Blue button on the bottom right of the section. Extremely important that we have that information. Now on the right-hand side here, authorized representative. Again, this is going to tell us who is in charge of this company. So I'll go ahead and put my information. In this instance, you would want to put your direct email. This is how the business owner is going to get a hold of you. I'm going to put in one of our other emails here for this example, but you'd want to go ahead and put a direct contact line that the authorized rep is checking frequently, right? We want information to come through here. And then here, we'll go ahead and say CEO. Now, phone number with a country code. It's important that we do the +1. So we need the +1, and we can just do a string of numbers. We do not have to have the proper spacing. So if we go back here, in this case, I'm going to just match it up to our main line. But what you may instead want to do is put in a cell phone or other contact information that, again, is direct to our authorized representative, because this is for when the agency or high level need to get a hold of you. Now, continuing on down into some of the remaining settings here. Once we've hit, again, I want to just reinforce update information. We want to absolutely make sure we save this information. Now, as we go down, voicemail settings. To set up your voicemail, while that's typically we think of that being personal information, they have actually moved that under the call settings. So we'll do that when we set up our phone. Looking to allow duplicate opportunities. Some of these other settings we've moved into different places. So you'll see these triangles highlighting that change. Merge Facebook contacts by name. This is a nice one. So depending on how intensely you are planning to use Facebook and integrate that messaging into your high-level system or your M Suite CRM, which is built on high level, then we're going to want to merge the contact's name into the other contact cards we have, and it's going to be done by name. So names are going to be case sensitive. So what this means then is if we get a message from somebody on Facebook and we have an existing contact that's an exact match, spelling, spacing, they use their whatever name. If they've got a nickname, their real name, a different last name, a maiden name, it's got to be an exact match. But if we do this, it will automatically then scoop that up and place it under their existing contact card. So that can be extremely helpful for us. Disable contact time zone. I'd encourage you leave that unchecked. What this is going to do is if we select disable contact time zone, then everything will be set off of the master time zone we set up above under the business physical address settings. Now, what that's referring to is inside of the contact, you can select a time zone for your contact. So for example, I've got clients all over the United States and in fact all over the world. So I really need to know, are you in Dubai? Are you in Rome? Are you in Thailand? Are you on the US East Coast? Are you on the US West Coast? Are you on Honolulu time? I made that mistake just yesterday of trying to reach out to a client who's on Honolulu time at a little different time than I expected to. So those are some things we really want to make our straight and set up in the individual contact. So unless all of your contacts are on the same time zone, I would encourage you leave this unchecked. Now, maybe you run a local business. It is a pizzeria. Most of your clients are going to be local or expect them to be at least in the same time zone. Then in that case, you may want to select this option. That way, each individual contact can never accidentally change a time zone and create an issue down the line. Bot detection preventing statistics. So what this is doing is it's looking for emails that bots are just opening and reading. Now what that can do is go ahead and skew your marketing data. I'm going to go ahead and check this one on. I would encourage that you do the same just to keep our data a little more clean. Now maybe you've got a small list, you're not too worried about somebody running a bot, you can go ahead and leave that unchecked. But if you are running larger email campaigns, I'd encourage you, let's go ahead and put bot detection on. Now, number intelligence, again, has to do with the phone number. SMS compliance, again, has to do with the phone number. So we'll address that later. But this one sandwiched in the middle here, verify email address when first email sent to a new contact, leave this checked. It's going to cost you a very, very, very small amount of money, tenths, if not hundreds of a cent. And what this will do is when you send an email to someone, it's going to go out to the servers, verify that that is a legitimate address. Much like if you go to enter in an address into your maps on your phone and the address doesn't match anything, it'll give you some suggestions, but you're not going to get to that destination unless we have a proper address. What this does is tell you, wrong address, that address doesn't exist, right? It's much like when you try and call a phone number and it goes direct to the phone company. This phone number does not exist. That's what this message is telling us. So what you'll see then next to their email is there will be a green verified stamp that will show up, and you'll know then that's a legitimate address and your emails should get delivered. Again, this will help you understand your bounce rates and some of the other information as far as actually delivering your emails that you're trying to send. Now, this bottom box, this is where I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I am not an attorney. I'm certainly not your attorney. And I do not give legal advice. So you can make your own decision on this one because this has to do with compliance. That being said, by default, it is checked and there is a default message that is populated. We can see here, it's grayed out, but if you no longer wish to receive these emails, you may, and then that unsubscribe is formatted weird because it's an action. So they're going to be able to actually select that to unsubscribe from your list. And then we've got a comma. And then as we see here, msuite-YouTube account, what does that match up to? If we remember correctly, this is a prime example of the friendly business name being automatically drawn in to our later settings. So when we set that friendly business name, this is a great example of where it will automatically go for us. In this case, I have left it selected. This is going to help make sure that if people want to unsubscribe, they can unsubscribe, and we will not be generating complaints. If you're in the US, you certainly do not want the FCC calling you up or sending you a notice, rather, about your email habits. So this is something that can help you to stay compliant. Again, not a lawyer and not your lawyer, so make your own decisions here. But this is a nice, easy step to help stay compliant. Now, the next section here. And to note with these, there is no update information. So I've been hounding on that. Make sure you hit the blue button. There isn't one in this section. These are just going to automatically take into this system, so no need to take further action. Now, the last piece we're going to talk about here on this page to go ahead and get our business profile and our personal information set up is the contact deduplication preferences. Now, by default, you cannot have duplicate contacts. That is how it is set. We can toggle that if we'd like to allow duplicates. We can toggle that on. Again, there's no save button here, so as soon as you toggle it, it's going to take effect. We're going to leave duplicates in the default, which is that we don't allow them. And here we have a decision we can make. We can choose what we want our primary and secondary preference, which is optional, to be to source out, do I have a duplicate contact? Now notice, it's either email or phone. The reason being, a name can be spelled numerous different ways. If you remember from above, we had a setting that we could choose about automatically matching Facebook messages into our contacts. Now, if that exact spelling is incorrect, that function won't work. But if the phone number or email associated is a duplicate, by default, it will not allow it to come through based on our selections down here. So for me, I like to do it by phone number as the primary. Many individuals will use multiple email addresses. Most people, however, will use their cell phone. So I like phone to be the primary that I'm searching for duplicates. And then for secondary, I do also like there to be an email. Because if someone does try to create a new login, a new interaction with one of our funnels, landing pages, opt-ins, or otherwise, and they spell their name a little different, they use a nickname, maybe they use someone else in the household, but for the same email, I want it to look for that email and say, oh, you know what, that actually is this person, and how's that information together here? I find that to be the best preference. So again, you've got some options. You can pick email or phone for primary. You can also not choose a secondary. If you only want to match by phone numbers, by all means. Just know that you may have the same person with different emails creating multiple contacts because it's not going to see it as a duplicate if we select none for our second preference and phone for our first. Now, alternatively, if you do, for whatever reason, want to have duplicates, You can just toggle this on, and just like that, contacts will be able to create duplicates in your system. So with that, this is the overview for the business information. Again, keys here, this information in the general section will tie automatically into other inputs. Key example of that was the unsubscribe. On the business physical address, make this where you want people to find you, and pay especially important attention to the time zone. This will set the master for many, many other interactions. We want to make sure this is 100% accurate. Personal rep, this is where you put your personal information, right? Use your real email address that you want your agency to contact you at, and your real phone number, preferably a direct line or a cell, so that again, the agency can get a hold of you. This information doesn't pull into other places like some of the other spots do. And then down at the bottom here, we've got a couple of important decisions to make. I think most important down here being our compliance decision. Will we be choosing to be compliant in this manner, or is there another way that we plan to handle that? So with that, stay subscribed, stay in the playlist. We've got more walkthroughs coming up. And if there's something that you wanted covered that we didn't, please comment below this video. Reach out to us directly at any of our emails or by phone, and we will be able to give you some support. Whether you're an existing M-Suite CRM powered by Mickey Growth customer, a future customer, or you've got a different system that runs on high level, we'd love to help you out. We've got no problem helping you, even if you're not currently working with us. And we hope you have an amazing, incredible rest of your day.